everyone, Michelle here from Gardening TLC, and welcome back to my garden. Today we are going to talk about the power of a small shrub. These compact plants can totally transform your landscape. They will add color, texture, and structure right where you need it. So you might be looking to fill a bare spot, or maybe you're framing a path, or maybe you want something that looks good without all the fuss, or you don't want that great big size. Today I have a great lineup of mighty but small shrubs that punch their way right into your hearts. All right, trust me, one of these shrubs is going on your wish list. There are definitely times in my garden where I'm looking for a small shrub to tuck in. I love perennials, but perennials are always work. Sometimes small shrubs, you want to tuck them in, and then you don't have to do a whole lot to them because shrubs are a lot less maintenance than a perennial. I love perennials. I love planting my seeds, but as I get older, I do know that I'm going to have to start creating garden beds with maybe a little bit less of the chop and drop and a little bit more of the shrubs that I don't have to fuss with. So today I put together a list of 12 really great shrubs. I have 4 honorable mention ones at the end, so you're going to get a total of 16. Now, for those of you that are new, I am in Northern Illinois and I do live in Zone 5. I have a tendency to talk about more things that are up here in the north, but some of these have a pretty good growing range moving into the south, but I'm really not talking about any of those little shrubs that are like Zone 6 and below. And there are some out there, and I'm sure there is a YouTube creator out there that is in the south, like, oh, Jenny from Creekside. She probably has a video out there about small shrubs for the southern zones. But today we're going to talk about 12 that I think are excellent. Now, I did this video maybe 2 years ago. I made a video on small shrubs. I'm not talking about any of those shrubs in today's video. This is a new list. Those shrubs are absolutely fabulous, but I guarantee you there's more than 12. You are probably wondering why I have a yardstick with me. So this is a 4-foot yardstick. All right, see how high that is? It comes up to here on me. I do not have any shrubs in this list that will grow bigger than 4 feet tall or 4 feet wide. A lot of these are actually smaller as well. So these are shrubs that you can tuck in along the edge of a border. They could tuck maybe midway back or even as the only thing in the border because they're not going to outgrow their size. And I think you're going to find one that will be perfect just for you if this is something you're looking for. I also want to clarify really quick that I live in Zone 5, so I will be talking about shrubs that are a little bit further north, and I will be talking about evergreen and broadleaf evergreen shrubs first. Evergreen have needles, broadleaf have round leaves, but they both hold on to their needles or leaves the whole entire year. These are backbones of your garden because they give you winter interest. So we have, I think 5, maybe 6, I don't remember, but we have enough of them on the list that you can add them into your garden. We also are going to talk about deciduous shrubs. Those are the shrubs that actually lose their leaves through the winter, but you're left with the structure of what's left, sometimes even the flowers, depending on when they bloom. And yeah, I wanted to make sure I covered that first. Now we're going to dig in. All right, let's go. First on my list is definitely a boxwood. I love boxwoods. I think they have a lot of different uses in the landscape. Not only are they great for hedges, but they are also great for single specimen plants. If you are looking for a small one, I mean truly small one to tuck into the landscape, the North Star boxwood by Proven Winners is excellent. This guy is only going to get 2 to 2.5 feet tall and wide, so it truly is a smaller shrub to give you that winter interest. It's a broadleaf evergreen, so it holds onto those round leaves throughout the winter. It has a beautiful green color to it. It grows in zone, I believe these are 5 through 9, so totally awesome. And you know what also is great about boxwoods? They're deer resistant. So whether you want a low hedge or you want a specimen plant, Northwoods are great. Now, I personally have no Northwoods growing on my house because I am in love with this next one. If any of you have been watching me at all for the last 2.5 years, you know I have a love affair with winter gems. I love this shrub. This shrub for me is one of the best boxwoods I've ever grown. I've grown a lot of boxwoods in my garden. I don't have a lot of diversity with different boxwoods, which I know I probably should, but I love this one. It grows in a nice ball. It doesn't have to be pruned if I don't want it to be pruned. I can let it look a little woolly because I kind of like that look. I don't really have any hedging going on in my garden, so this is a great shrub for me. Now, it's on the top end of that 4 feet, but there's some conditions that will make it grow 4 feet, and there's conditions that will make it stay 2 feet. Let me show you. These here are the winter gems. They are fully in shade. They don't really get a lot of sun, and they stay relatively small. These have been in here for 4 years. I've never pruned them. They have a nice green color. They've kept their shape. They're a little woolly, but I kind of like them like that, and they don't overgrow the area. Now, if you're going to plant these in full sun, I'll show you some that are in more sun, and they're a lot bigger. But in the shade, they definitely are that shrub that you can tuck in. This is another winter gem that actually gets a lot more sun. So this one is getting between 6 and 8 hours of sun. It gets morning sun. You can see it's all of 4x4, and that's about as big as it's gonna get. So in more sun, they actually get a little bit bigger. But again, you could still tuck something like this into a larger bed and or keep it in the shade if you want it to be smaller. If you want a smaller shrub that you can tuck on the edge of a border that doesn't get very high, and you want a little bit of a ground cover juniper, then I would recommend the Blue Star. I like this better than any of the rugs because it does grow kind of in a mounding shape. It actually ends up getting like a little bit of a layering look to it as it's growing. Little bitty short blue needles on it, and it really has a fabulous blue. Again, it's a juniper, full sun, and the deer will leave it alone. Let me show you the ones I have growing in my passageway bed. Those are brand new, but I have a mature one that's growing at the garden center, and I'll show you that one too. These are in, I'm going to call them first year. Even though I planted them last year, these guys got dug up and moved over here at the beginning of the season. So I would say these are still in year 1. So they're still small. Now they won't get much higher, but they will get wider. Now this Blue Star juniper has been here for 10 years. So you can see it's really not that much higher. It's just a little bit wider. But we love this Blue Star juniper in here. He's such a cute little addition. And look at how blue he is. He contrasts so well against other things. This is another juniper, and this one is by Proven Winners, and it's called Tortuga. This guy solves a lot of problems. He is one tough cookie. He only grows 2 feet high and gets about 3 feet wide. Look at that cold zone on there, all the way up to zone 2, down to zone 7. Plant a few of these together and you're definitely going to have a sea of green that's going to solve problems for you. Because here's what it says about it. This guy is the toughest juniper that they sell, and it readily withstands cold, sun, drought, deer, rabbits, air pollution, and even black walnuts. Here is another one that I really like. This one is a mugo pine, but it's not just any mugo pine. This is a dwarf cultivar called Slow Mound. I've grown other ones. I'd have to say this is my favorite. I've had great success growing this, and I love it anytime I can find an evergreen with a cold hardy nice up to a zone 2. These guys only grow 1 to 2 feet tall, 1 to 2 feet wide, and it's going to take it 10 years to do that. Talk about slow growing. These are great on the edge of a border, and it's another one of those shrubs. If you're looking for low maintenance, you put it in, you get it established, and then it becomes drought tolerant and you don't have to prune it. It does put off those little bitty candles in the spring, but because it's so slow growing, they're not very tall or very big. And I absolutely love this one. I've been growing it for years. And what I find amazing, I don't have one of these in my garden. I need to add one. Like, I have to find a place to tuck one in, and I'm gonna. Another great ground cover evergreen that doesn't get very big and has great cold hardiness. Now, Proven Winners has one, but you can find these as well that are non-Proven Winners. This is a Russian cypress, and it's called Celtic Pride. I do have one, just one, growing in my garden, and I love it. Now, right now, I have it on the edge of a border. I actually think I want to add a few more of these to my garden because they are great in the winter, and they add that nice structure, and they have a little bit of a weeping habit to them. And again, look at that cold hardiness, zone 2. This is our Celtic Pride here, and again, I believe this guy is about as big as he's going to get. He was planted in the ground for about 4 years, and last year I transplanted him over here. He settled in really nice. I love this little shrub, super beautiful in the winter, and I think it tucked in right here, great. Aren't these the cutest little things ever? So this is an arborvitae. It's a globe arborvitae, and this one's called tater tot. Now, there are a lot of globe arborvitaes out there, and there are different ones that are different sizes, but I really like this one, and I like how it grows. It has a really beautiful arborvitae foliage on it. It can grow anywhere from 2 to 3 feet tall, 3 to 4 feet wide. And the biggest thing I would say about it is when you go into winter with these guys, you definitely have to make sure you water them all the way until the ground freezes, especially if you're in a northern climate like zone 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6. If you don't get snowpack or we go through winter and you don't have any moisture going on, you need to get moisture on these root balls or they will brown out on you through the winter because they'll dry out. But if you can handle all of that, getting them going into their first and second year, you get to the third year and they just start to grow and look fabulous. They're, again, one of those no prune shrubs that just grow for you, and they're the perfect size to tuck in. Here's a little tater tot so you can kind of see live what the foliage looks like. And it does. It grows in this nice little cute little ball. So these are a little great shrub to tuck in somewhere. I mean, look at the texture. It's fabulous. That's the end of our list for evergreen shrubs. Now we're going to move on to our deciduous shrubs, and we're going to start with the Yuki Cherry Blossom Deutzia. I planted these in the passageway garden this year for the first time, and I will say I'm looking forward to what they're going to do next year. This year, I got them in a little bit late, so the bloom cycle was already over, and then we went into this incredible heat cycle, and they stressed, so I ended up cutting them back. But then they all flushed back out, and I'll show you those in just a second. But these guys only grow 1 to 2 feet tall and wide, and then they're covered with these beautiful cherry blossom colored flowers in the spring. And I am so excited about these in my passageway bed. And yes, I have definitely tucked them in along an edge to soften a border. That's how I'm using them. And yeah, they are going to serve their purpose and be absolutely awesome. As you can see, they flushed out again, really super nice. So I'm very interested and excited to see what these are going to do next year. Next on the list is the Midnight Wineshine Woodilla. And if you're looking for darker foliage to add to your garden, or you want to create some contrast, this is the shrub for you. Again, I am using these in the application of softening a border edge that I have in my passageway bed. I have 3 of them through the bed to kind of draw your eye down the line. But so far, I am incredibly pleased with these. I love the fuchsia flowers that they got in the spring, and I love the color of the foliage that they've got right now. As we come through the passageway bed, this is where I have the little Wineshine Woodilla. I do have 3 of them in here. Here is where the first one is. And then if we swing down this way, you can see I have another one right down here at the end. And we've just woven 3 of them through the passageway bed. I love the color. I love the size. These are fabulous. My third one is right over here, planted right next to my rainbow euphorbia. And then we've got a blue globe spruce back behind that. Now, yeah, that blue globe looks tiny now, but it will get much, much bigger. So unfortunately, that's not a tiny one. But this one, yeah, we are really loving that one. Look at those beautiful arching white flowers, and that is going to happen in late spring on this shrub. This is a little Henry Sweetspire, and they've been around for a long time. They are a nice, compact, round shrub, and yes, you do have to prune this one every once in a while, and if you are going to prune it, typically you're doing it after it's done flowering. This one in the spring is fabulous, and it smells so good. Now, the bonus with this little guy, oh my goodness, in the fall, the foliage on this, and it usually happens later in the fall, turns this beautiful red. Now, these will grow in probably part shade more on that 6-hour side, but they absolutely perform their absolute best in full sun. Now, Proven Winners came out with one last year called Fizzy Mizzy. I'm going to talk about that one real quick, because I do have that one growing in my garden, but let's go over the specs. Fizzy Mizzy is the proven winner cultivar that they put out. I believe it was released either last year or the year before. I did end up putting 3 of them in my garden, and it's supposed to be an improvement on the Sweet Spire. And so I planted them in the garden. I haven't given up on them yet. They're still a little small. So we're going to see how they do. Now, if I recall, when I planted that Little Henry 10 years ago, it took it a little bit to get going as well. And then once it got going, it was fabulous. So the jury's still out on this one, but again, it's one that you can tuck in 2 to 3 feet tall, zone 5 through 9, grows in sun or shade, will always perform better in sun. But when it says shade, that really does mean that 4 to 6 hour window. All right, I'm going to show you the 2 that I have going, one at the garden center and the 3 I have at my house. This is the Fizzy Mizzy right here to give you an idea of how tall he actually gets. So this guy is in full sun all day long, and he will take part shade. Beautiful, brilliant red color on this guy in the fall. But right now, I would say he is topped out right around 4 feet. The one I just showed you at the store is the Little Henry, and I do like that one. It's proven, it's tried, it's true, it's fabulous. Now, last year, I tried these ones from Proven Winners, and they're in their 2nd year. These are the Fizzy Mizzy. Now, at the beginning of the season, these actually died all the way back to the ground. I didn't know if they were going to make it, but you can see they have recovered. These 2 are doing pretty good. They did not get any flowers on them this year. I hope they get their red foliage. And I do have a 3rd one that's not quite as large as the other 2 coming in right here. So I'm a little underwhelmed by these, and the jury is still out. But I've also seen shrubs go into their 3rd and 4th year and really take off and be spectacular. So we're going to give these a little bit of time and see if they do all they're supposed to do in the next couple years. I have only one lilac in my garden, and it's a big old-fashioned lilac that's kind of rangy that was here when I moved in. I actually want to add some lilacs to the garden, but I am running out of space. And unless I want to create a whole bunch of new beds, which I'm hesitant to create a lot of really big new beds because lilacs can be fairly large, I think I want to find a spot to tuck some in to my garden. Now, this one I have no personal growing experience with, but it is one that I'm going to try next year. So this is the Baby Kim lilac, and it's only going to grow 2 to 3 feet tall and wide. It is a late spring bloomer, usually around Mother's Day is when it's blooming, and then you're going to prune it when it's done blooming so that it sets its flowers for next year. So yeah, we're going to try this one and see if we love it. The last 2 shrubs on my list are hydrangeas, and I do have both of these growing in my landscape. One at my home and one at the garden center. Now, this is the Firelight Tidbit. This is a panicle hydrangea, but it's tiny, only getting 2 to 3 feet tall and wide. It does want to grow in full sun. Now, the tag does say part shade, and again, I'm telling you, that's probably more on the 6 hour side. And the further south you go, probably the less sun you can get away with if it's hot afternoon sun. I find if this is getting full on like all day, all the time sun here in zone 5, it does okay. Any of the paniculata hydrangea. I have 2 Firelight Tidbits in my own garden. I planted these last year towards the end of the season when I redid this bed. So they're still young, but they aren't going to get very big. These guys are situated on the west side of my house, so they don't get sun until after the sun comes up over the top of the house. So I'd say that they're probably getting anywhere from 6 to 7 hours of sun. This is a good example of a deciduous shrub that's going to hold on to its flowers through the winter because I choose to leave them on there, and they're going to brown. The flowers themselves, all the leaves will fall off, but I'll have the structure of that for my winter interest. So I do love that about this, but I love the size. I am definitely a fan of any of the quick fires. I like the tiny quick fires. I like the little quick fires, the regular quick fires, the quick fire fabs. I like all of them. But if you want a really pretty hydrangea that only gets about 3 by 3 that you can tuck into your landscape with beautiful color, blooms a month earlier than all the other hydrangeas, has kind of an open lace cap flower, starts lime green when the flowers are closed, opens to white, and then ages to this absolutely beautiful mauve pink. This is the one for you. I have 3 of them growing at the garden center. Let's go look at them. These are the little quick fires, and this is as big as they get. These are full grown. There are 3 of them here. They're in front of my greenhouse along the road. at the garden center, and these are a great size to tuck in. I mean, look at that fabulous color. I just love this shrub. It is so awesome looking. I mean, look at that great color. But that's a great size to tuck in somewhere. My first honorable mention is going to be a rose. I think I needed to have a rose on this list, and I've chosen the Oh So Easy Double Pink. There are other roses that fit this ticket, but this one is absolutely fabulous. Now, I do not have this growing in my garden, but I planted it in a landscape garden a couple years ago, and I'm telling you, this thing is a nonstop bloom, 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 bloom. It is fabulous, and it's not very big, and it grows in zone 5 through 8. And I think that a drift of these together is absolutely gorgeous. Honorable mention number 2 goes to the mini maroon sunjoy barberry from Proven Winners. And I know not all of you can grow these, but for those of us that can grow these, this is a great shrub to give you some fantastic color in the landscape, and it only grows 2 by 3. I have found when I grow these, if I leave them alone and I don't prune them, they grow slow, and they have a tendency to not get those wonky arms that grow out of them, and they keep their shape a little bit better. I find when I start pruning on these, that's when I start to get the wonky shapes. So I would recommend this one if you're looking for a red to add to your garden, although it's kind of like that deep maroon red. And if you can grow these, you're lucky, because not everybody can. This was the most asked for spirea in my garden center this year, was the double play candy corn from Proven Winners. And unfortunately, I have yet to find a grower that grows for me that grows this shrub. So I'm going to have to hunt them down for next year. This is a great spirea to tuck into the landscaping. It is honorable mention because I'm not the biggest lover of spireas, but if I was going to get any more in my garden, this would be one that I would try. It's going to get 1.5 to 2.5 feet tall. When the foliage comes out in the spring, over here on the left, look at that candy apple red color. That's what it looks like. Then it ages to kind of this chartreuse color, and it gets these dark, deep maroon flowers on it. Now, what I love about the Proven Winner spireas is I don't have to cut them back to get them to flush and bloom a second time. So yeah, if you like spireas or you want to try one of the newer cultivars, because they have come a long ways with spireas, and they aren't your grandmas that were all rangy and icky back in the day, maybe this is one to try. Last on my list, I have added a dwarf inkberry holly because it is your alternative to a boxwood if you can't plant a boxwood. The strong box is the smaller one, getting 2 to 3 feet tall and wide. The foliage does look like a boxwood. Now, I will say the leaf, I think, looks a little bit bigger on it, and I don't think that the structure is as tight and dense as a boxwood, but I think they're beautiful, and they will serve your purpose to fill in for a boxwood when you can't grow a boxwood. And again, they're small enough that you can tuck them in. These are definitely some excellent small shrubs, and I think they really pull their weight in the garden. I love plants that are easy to tuck away without needing a big space or a big commitment. These definitely check a lot of boxes. So whether you're looking to fill in a little gap, soften an edge, maybe fill a pot, or maybe you're just looking for something new to put in the garden, I think that these will add something fresh to the mix. Maybe you found one that you're going to put on your own wish list. Let me know down in the comments if you found one that you love, or maybe I missed one and it's a go-to everyone needs to know about. Yeah, I know that there's some southern ones out there that I didn't even talk about because I live in zone 5. So I'm always up for discovering new things, you guys, so weigh in down below. That's all I've got for today, you guys. I'm Michelle. I hope you get your hands in the dirt, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.